even knowingly or unknowingly, if one who is able to come and touch, contact with Srimad Bhagavatam, it's a great purification. So thank you for this, Madhuvaditwaji, for this opportunity to go through, to understand the supreme subject matter of the Supreme Lord. So I'll begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tadho Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavada sevaya bhagavadi uttama sloke bhaktir bhavadi naishtigim. Hare Krishna. So we'll be taking a class today, the discussion between the Maharaj Bharat or Jada Bharat and the King Raghuguna. See, fifth canto, there is a beautiful section that the Jada Bharadas and Maharaj Bharata and then become Jada Bharata, then beautiful instruction to the King Raghuguna. It's very eye-opening and very transcendental. I thought of speaking a little bit on this topic so that we can understand our position. So this is the last verse of the fifth canto, 11th chapter. So I will recite. Bhradavyam yenam tat adabhraviryam ubekshya adhyehidam apramattaha gurur harescha upasanastro jahi vyaligam swayam atmamoksham. Bhadravyam yenam tat adabhraviryam ubekshya adhyehidam apramattaha Gurur Haresh Charanopa Upasanastro Jahi Valikam Swayamatma Moksham. Synonyms. Bhartravyam, the formidable enemy. Yenam, this mind. Tat, that. Adabhraviryam, very, very powerful. Ubekshya, by neglecting. Adhyedidam, unnecessarily increased in power. Apramattaha, one who is without illusion. Guru, of spiritual master. Hare, the supreme personality of Godhead. Charana, the lotus feet. Upasana astraha, applying the weapons of worshipping. Jahi, conquer. Vyaligam, false. Swayam, personally. Atma moksham, which covers the constitutional position of the living entity. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. This uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or give it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and will become victorious. Although it is not factual, it is very strong. It covers the constitutional position of the soul. O King, please try to conquer this mind by the weapons of service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and of the supreme personality of Godhead. Do this with great care. It's a beautiful verse. Purport. There is one easy weapon with which the mind can be conquered. Neglect. Please listen. This is very beautiful. There is one easy weapon with which the mind can be conquered. Neglect. The mind is always telling us to do this, do that. Therefore, we should be very expert in disobeying the mind's order. Gradually, the mind should be trained to obey the orders of the soul. It is not that one should obey the orders of the mind. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura used to say that to control the mind, one should beat it with the shoes many times just after awakening and again before going to sleep. In this way, one can control the mind. This is the instruction of all Shastras. If one does not do so, one is doomed to follow the dictations of the mind. Another bona fide process is to abide strictly by the orders of the spiritual master and engage in the Lord's service, then the mind will automatically controlled. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has instructed Sri Rupa Goswami, Brahmanda Brahmide kon bhagyavan jeev, Guru Krishna prasade pahai, bhakti bal lada bija. When one receives the seed of devotional service by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one's real lives begin. If one abides by the orders of the spiritual master, by the grace of Krishna, he is freed from service to the mind. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salagaya Chakshurunmilidam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stabidam Yena Bhudale Swayam Rupagada Mahyam Dadadi Supadandigam Vandeham Sri Gurum Sri Udabadagamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunathanidam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaidam Savadudam Parijana Sahidam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lilidam Sri Vishaganidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dhinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarupasya Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Sahana Vavadu Sahanau Bhunaktum Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinamadidastu Ma Vidushavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you so much for joining today for this very auspicious transcendental Srimad Bhagavatam class. So it's nice to hear, very great to hear the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam, and our Acharyas mentioned that one should hear nothing else, the topics of the Supreme Lord. So here in this chapter, this is the discussion between Jad Bharata and King Raghuguna. So we know that the story of Maharaj Bharat. Maharaj Bharat was this eldest son of Rishabhadev. It's not only Rishabhadev, it's a Lord Rishabhadev, Supreme Lord. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 22 incarnations of the Lord, and one of the incarnation is Rishabhadev. And Rishabhadev, even at the young age, Rishabhadev had 100 sons. Rishabhadev then advised the duty of all the living entities and advised instructions of how one can attain the salvation, one can attain how to live in this world. And Rishabhadev instruction, and it is beautifully explained in these previous sections of it, and we can see that there as well. So elder son was Maharaj Bharat, and there we know that there are also 9 Yogendras, the great sages. They were also the sons of Rishabhadev. So then Rishabhadev, handed over the kingdom to Maharaj Bharat. Maharaj also Bharat ruled the kingdom for quite some time. Since then, we know that the entire Bharata, the entire world is actually started to call as Bharatavarsha since the ruling of Maharaj Bharat. Before that, it was known as Ilavardavarsha. And since King Bharat, it became the Bharatavarsha. So Maharaj Bharat ruled kingdom for quite some time, but as per the instructions and understood what is the importance of the human life. It's not that just for meeting, mating, sleeping, and defending and being with all the associates and in the kingdom and all the opulences, and that's not the purpose of the human life. And Maharaj Bharat understood and realized this and got the instructions from his father Rishabhadev, Lord himself. So then Maharaj Bharat, when it was youth, and he has lots of youthful queens and the kingdom and the sons. And Maharaj Bharat left the kingdom and went into the forest to attain the salvation, attain the transcendental abode. And Maharaj Bharat was in the forest and always in the meditation, always worshipping the Supreme Lord, always in the thoughts of the Supreme Lord, and leading such a life, an ascetic life. And there in the forest, and then we know that the story finally that King Bharat, Maharaj Bharat in the forest attached to a deer. So that situation of the deer was, there was a mother deer was crossing a river, and all of a sudden this mother deer heard a big noise of big roar of a lion. And because of fear, and whenever there is a roar of the lion, the deers, especially in the forest, they tremble with the fear because of their life. So trembled with the fear, this mother deer immediately delivered a baby deer in the water. Naturally, a devotee, a Vaishnava, a saint, so naturally there is a compassion for all the living entities. They don't even touch even an ant. At the same time, they feel the pain when others goes through any kinds of pain. They are not, even the Vaishnavas are actually getting more pain than the other living entity, those who goes through, because of that is their compassionate nature, their deep compassion. So here, the Maharaj Bharat was in the forest. Bharat saw that the baby deer, and immediately the mother deer passed away, and the baby deer is in the water. And naturally, as a compassionate soul, Bharat Maharaj went into the water and took this deer and brought to Maharaj Bharat. So now, since there is no mother, for this baby deer, so Maharaj Bharat was started to take care of this deer. And their devotees, why it is mentioning into the Srimad Bhagavatam, is so beautiful, and each and every word of and the glories of the devotees and the Supreme Lord's instructions and instructions of the devotees are all for us. Just to understand what is this human life, just to understand what is this world and what is our position, what we're supposed to do in this world, as long as we are on the human platform. So here in this case, Maharaj Bharat was started to take care of the deer, and then too much attached to the deer, and feeding them and taking care of, and whenever the deer goes, then Maharaj Bharat had asked of that distress conditions, that where this deer go, where it go from me and go and after, and it's pretty much now too much attached to this deer instead of attached to the Supreme Lord. So dear devotees, these are all our conditions in this life. We are so attached to this material world in so many ways. It's not only the one way, even Maharaj Bharat attached to the deer only, but we are all attached to so many things in this world. Very difficult to come out, and that's what is exactly it is mentioned, that the uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. Because of this uncontrolled mind, we completely devour by the mind and attached to this material world. And here, the Maharaj Bharat was attached and then forgotten the duty, the constitutional position of the living entity as a Maharaj Bharat, and now always attached to this deer and taking care of this deer. Even in sleep, Maharaj Bharat was even dreaming about this deer. Dear devotees, this is the power, the force of this material nature. Mind is part of this material energy. Material energy is so powerful. Even if we just come in contact with this, and then immediately it will attack us. Sometimes people say that, I heard many stories of a drunkard persons, those who are alcoholic. So when they alcoholic, they say that their story that, we just started to drink just for company purpose, company's sake. My friends just instructed me, okay, just give a company. just have a drink, just one glass, just little bit. And then as soon as they taste that one, they develop that taste for the drink, develop that addiction for that one, and immediately everything, and immediately completely devour this addiction, and it captures the mind, and then we cannot come out of it. And I know that one person, he was a college professor when I was in college. He was a college professor, well educated, from a good family, but he's developed this addictions of drinking alcohol. And even he then completely addicted. Even if he gets up from his bed, he needed to have this alcohol as a drinking in the first thing in the morning. And he completely addicted, and his family is kind of struggling and destroyed. And every day he starts from his home, and first thing is actually, then when he get lots of opposition from his family, then he gets up in the morning, he dresses as he goes to college, but what he goes to the next liquor shop and he drinks from there. And what happens, he drinks like that, and he's fall into the kind of gutter in the roadside. And I could see that person was lying down early morning because of this addiction of this alcohol, and he completely addicted, and no way that he can come out of it. The devotee, this is our condition in this life, that we are completely addicted with so many material attachments when we cannot come out of it. And this is what is exactly the problem, and the problem of the mind. So Maharaj Bharat was completely addicted like that. And then Maharaj Bharat was getting older, and then finally, when Maharaj Bharat and then passed his body, and because of his consciousness of this deer, and then he became a deer in his next life. So it's very clearly explained in our Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Anda kaleja mam eva smaran mukta kalevaram. It's mentioned there, right? It says that whatever the consciousness that we have at the time of death, that we are going to become. So it's Krishna says this very truth is, that's a very truth, and that's a absolute truth, that whatever is our consciousness at the time of death, that's what is we are going to become. And if one is conscious of the Supreme Lord, they will attain the Supreme Lord. But whatever the consciousness is, yatta smaran bhavam, right? Tajyande kalevaram, yeah, dattat evadi kaundeya sada dadbhavam agadaha. As it says that whatever the consciousness a person has, then he will become, and in the next life, what the consciousness he has. So Maharaj Bharat then became the Jada Bharat in his next life. But there is, because of his higher consciousness of the Krishna in his past life, and he could remember everything, and he could remember, then again in the deer body, then he also passed this deer body, then he passed again, and then he get a body, another human form, because of his past, he was preparing for Krishna consciousness. So then this deer again become a human, and then this that's called Jada Bharat. That Bharat, and he became an youngest son of a Brahman, and he got a son, and he got a family of a Brahman family, and then Jada Bharat, and this is the third life of the Jada Bharat Maharaj. And that Jada Bharat, and why it is called Jada Bharat, because of Bharat Maharaj could realize, and he could remember his past life, that what he went through, because of he was the greatest, the transcendental practitioner of the Krishna consciousness, but his attachment, he became a deer in his past life, and he was completely was aware of that, even if I miss this chance, then I cannot come back. It's very difficult to come and get a human form of the life. So immediately he got the birth as a youngest son of a Brahmana, and then he could realize that his past life, and he was very careful about his life in this life. So he tried to become a dumb and kind of a mute person, and he was not associating with any unwanted or ordinary people, those who are karmis and other people. So because of that, he knows that my purpose of my life is not to waste likes that. So he was completely aware of his position, and he was completely try to control his mind. And in order to do that, he tried to become a dumb person. If somebody asks, And he does not reply because of he knew that there is no use of that talking to this nonsense in this world. And that's what is, dear devotees, we are all going through. We are all going through in this world that there are tons of sins morning till evening, that what is going through in our life is nothing but a nonsense of unwanted this worldly speech and worldly talk and so many things, and nothing which helps really in our life or our spiritual life. So here Jada Bharat, and he was completely aware of that the purpose of his life and constitution of his life. And Jada Bharat became completely kind of dumb and the mute person. If somebody asks, he doesn't reply. If anything, worldly things, and most of the time is coming to him with, as this worldly talk. So everybody thought that he is kind of a crazy man, and he's kind of even he doesn't talk much, and even if he's listening something, as if he pretends that he doesn't listen anything from this. Dear devotees, this is a great quality of a devotee, that if there is anything which is in this world that which is not related to the Krishna, we should completely avoid such kinds of talk and completely shut our ears that not to hear anything like that. Because of, as you know, that it is just even touch with anything in this world, these worldly things, and it can devour us, it can catch us like a drunkard person, an alcoholic person, and it can completely devour us. So this helps us to progress in our spiritual path, that we completely devoid of these material afflictions, completely devoid of these material afflictions, and focus on the Supreme Lord. And Jadabhar, these are great example. That's why Sri Sukadev Goswami explaining the story, the pastimes of Jadabhar in the Srimad Bhagavatam, so that is all will be very great example for us. So Jadabharat, was behaving like this, and Jadabharat was completely aware of. So Jadabharat became, as a youth, and then his brothers, he had brothers, and everybody considered him as a very dumb and a very, lazy, very fool, considers him as a very foolish person. So in order to, even though he got into the Brahmin family, and then his father made him all put the sacred ceremony and Upanayan Samskar, all did that. But after seeing this all behaviorance, they thought that, okay, the Jada Bharat is best for, good for to guard our farm, the land. So Jada Bharat completely and very willingly accepted that, and then always guarding these farms and the growth and all those things. And even Jada Bharat was well built. Actually, it's visible that it's mentioned that the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's visible that Jada Bharat body was very well built even. But Jada Bharat was always aware and conscious of his position. So this is the time there was a king who was ruling the Sindhu and Suvira, the kingdom. He was the ruler, and he was going to the Ramanasrama, and he was carried by the servants on palanquin. And King Rahuna was sitting on the palanquin, and then came to this place, and were they were all tired, and they were looking for a fifth person or another third person to carry out this palanquin. And then they were searching around, and then they saw this Jada Bharat. And before that, even just before that, so then Jada Bharat was there, and Jada Bharat was completely immersed into this this Krishna consciousness, and completely devoid of all these material afflictions. And that's the time where there were dacoits, and there were some dacoits. They had very the devotees of Bhadrakali, and they were looking for a person, a human, to sacrifice to the Bhadrakali. So they were looking for a person, and they saw this Jada Bharat, and they saw this is a proper person, is very apt offering to the Mother Kali, and they captured Jada Bharat, and Jada Bharat didn't even oppose anything, and didn't even resist anything a little bit, and he completely surrendered to them. And then these dacoits brought Jada Bharata in front of Mother Kali, Bhadrakali, and then they were about to cut the head of Jada Bharat. And that's the time immediately Mother Kali, came out from the deity form and took the sword and chopped all the heads of all the dacoits, and the blood and oozing, and then this blood, this Mother Bhadrakali drank and then became satisfied. And it was mentioned that in the previous chapter, that is in the previous chapter, that one who is in the position, in the transcendental position, that nobody can even touch them, nobody can even offend them, and even the Lord and Lord's associate, and here Bhadrakali is also the Lord's associates, and cannot tolerate such insult, such Vaishnava offenses to a devotee. And there immediately Lord and his associates protect such devotees. So here it is showing the greatness of the devotee, or one who is in the pure devotional platform. So here Mother Kali chopped the heads of all the dacoits and pleased with Jadabharat. And that's where Jadabharat came back and taking care of this farm. And that's the time King Rahuguna was coming and looking for a person. And the king ordered to Jadabharat that you have to carry this palanquin. And King Jadabharata very willingly accepted that and didn't oppose anything. And then as Jadabharata started to carry the palanquin, and Jadabharata was looking, even when he put a step on the ground, that whether there is any ants, whether there is any other living entities there, that because of my step, that it will be harmful for them. So, dear devotees, this is another great quality of a devotee, that they will be always careful about, even harming or paining any other living entity, because of he sees, the devotee sees, the Vaishnava sees that every living entity is the part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such devotee sees everything equal as a part, as a representative of the Lord. And that devotee always sees that everybody else is great, that I am the smallest person, I am the lowest person. Such devotee always take care of others. And this is the great qualities of a devotee, dear devotees. So which is very great that we can hear all this from the examples of the Mahar Jadabharat. Jadabharat was looking down, and when he put a step, that if there are any ants or any other, anybody is crawling, any other living entities, and this became uneven, that it became started to shake the palanquin of King Rahuguna, and he was uneasy sitting there on the palanquin. And then he was shouting and he was agitated. What is going on there? You guys don't know how to carry the palanquin, and who is this? What is this? I cannot sit here properly. So King Rahuguna was shouting like this, and then all the other soldiers was trying that and telling to Jadabharata that carry correctly, hold it correctly, and otherwise king is going to kill you. Hold it correctly. But Jadabharata was not listening these words. But Jadabharata was very much careful against killing the ants or any living entities on the grounds. And it was continued, and King Rahuguna became so angry in such a way that he started to chastise and using for bad words and evil words and against Jadabharat. And then King Rahuguna was so angry, and he chastised, and he was telling that you are such a fool, you are such a rascal, what are you trying to do? You don't know what is your position, you are a servant, your duty is to carry me. You carry, then you're a fool, you're a rascal, you're an idiot, and all these kinds of foolish words this King Rahuguna was using. And one point of time, the Jadabharat then started to reply to king's and this foolishness. So Jadabharata told, you are saying that the body, and you are carrying you with your body, you are well built, and your duty is to carry me. And Jadabharata replied to King Rahuguna, yes, but my body is there, that is true, it's well built and all. But I am not really this body. Whatever you are saying again to this body, whatever you are saying, all these bad words you use, that's only using this body, that the body is an instrument here. But I am not really this body, and it doesn't affect me. So, dear devotees, this is the position of a greatest devotee, that is understanding and realization that when he comes to a devotional platform, that he convinced that he is not this body, and whatever happens to this body doesn't affect me. So King, Maharaj Jadabharata was replying to King Brahaguna in such a way that I'm not this body. Whatever you are telling, or the bad words used to, to against this body, it doesn't affect me. Whether you punish me or not, it doesn't affect me. Going to affect me because of I'm really not this body. So then King Raguna was very much, surprised. This is not an ordinary word from an ordinary soul or like a lowest person or, like soldiers or carriers. So then, my Jadabharata started to speak on topic of it. So you are chastising me. You are going to punish me, but there is no use for it. There is no use for it because of it doesn't affect me. So then King Raguna just ordered to stop the moving. And King Raguna came out from the palanquin and then came down and looked at, Jadabharat. And King Raguna started to speak. You are not, as if I can see that you are not an ordinary. You are, seems like you are a knowledgeable person. Who are you? Who are you? What is your name? And I could see that you have a sacred thread. Are you a family of a Brahmana? Are you a son of a Brahmana? So he started, King Raguna started to ask. So even though King Raguna was there, King Raguna was always seeking for the transcendental truth. King Raguna was looking for the transcendental truth, and he was very great respect for the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. And King Raguna came down and looked at, this Jadabharata, and looked at the sacred thread and this highly spoken words. And King Raghuda completely, kind of melted and came down and requested, who are you? And asking, the identity of this Jadabharat. And then Jadabharat started, this doesn't matter. Who am I? Doesn't matter, what is my position? It doesn't matter what you are giving praise words or the bad words. It doesn't matter for me. But all it is matter that to understand that we are the spirit soul. We are the unconditional, we are the spirit soul. We are the Supreme Lord, we are part and parcel of that Supreme Lord, Supreme Soul, and we are eternal. And we are eternal, we always exist. Our constitutional position is here to understand this. And who am I? So Jadabharata started to speak like this, and that's where, dear devotees, we came to this point. And when the Jadabharata started to explain about that, the transcendental science to King Raguna, then King Raguna asked that, how can I understand this? Who am I? How can I understand that? Who am I? Why? What is my constitutional position? And how can I attain this transcendental, transcendental nature? So then Jadabharata started to speak on this and how one can attain. That's where we came to this verse, is that Jadabharata was instructing to King Raguna, and it's mentioned that this uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. So dear devotees, it's very clear that, if we are not able to control the mind, we are doomed, because we are under the spell of this external energy, or called Maya, or the illusion. So it is mentioned that if one neglects it or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and will become the victorious. See, Radhanath Maharaj was giving this wonderful example of, one time in his class, Maharaj was saying that we all have these two dogs in our heart, always living there, two dogs. One is a good dog and another is a bad dog. So good dog and bad dog in ourselves. It's always there. It's actually always, and that's, we know that there is always a fight between the mind, right, and the real sense, or our original thoughts and the mind. So there is always a distinction there. And that's called the Dvanda Yuddha. It's always fighting and always in a confused state, what is right and what is wrong. And many times what we go with the directions of the mind. So Srila Prabhupada mentions here that one good formula that we can come out of this mental entanglement. We can come out of it, that there is one easy weapon with which the mind can be conquered, is neglect. Neglect the urges of the mind. Neglect the orders of the mind.
neglects the instructions of the mind. And this is the best way, and this is what is exactly the Jada Bharata is teaching us. And Jada Bharata exemplified that with all his behavior. And this is what is exactly the Jada Bharata is actually instructing to King Raghuguna. And as I mentioned, there are two dogs in our heart. One is a good dog and another is a bad dog. Maharaj was saying like this, that depends upon how we feed these dogs, then that will become stronger and stronger. So it's very clear that, if you have a dog, we used to have, my father used to have dogs, couple of dogs. And we know that one dog was very nice. And I could see that one dog was very nice, and his name was Jimmy. And you remember, and another one was Kitu, and another dog. He was always into the, in the shelter, and he was very cruel, very cruel. And whomever he see, he bites, and also he was always locked. And but the another one, he was so nice, so everybody, he was very friendly with everybody, and we could see that. So in the same nature we have that, we have also this two dog, that whatever we are feeding to that dogs, that depends on what's coming out. So if you are starting to feed our bad qualities, here the bad dog means our bad qualities or the thoughts of the mind, that okay, let me get into this, let me get this, beautiful, cunningly or illegally or whatever the way, and in order to fulfill our selfish desires. And where that selfish desires come from, mind is actually instructing to our senses. Senses are always looking for that, what is actually there to please my senses here in this world. Our eyes looking for the sensual pleasure, looking for that pleasure where I can get it, and mind is completely going to that direction. Our tongue, right, our tongue always looking for palatable, very tasty and everything. And we can see that in this world, just because of the problems of this tongue, this 99% of the problems of the world, and all the suffering and the diseases, and all because of this uncontrolled senses or our tongue. And our ears always looking for very pleasing words, and wherever if somebody says anything against little bit, then he is going to become an enemy of that person. All on a sudden, he was so wonderful for all this time. If somebody say a single word against that person, he is going to become an enemy of that person. And we can see that in this world, that everybody is like of, these two parities of, friends and enemies, and more is actually enemies. And it is, that's the world, because of the what, if we don't hear any pleasing words with our ears, that, we cannot tolerate. And we came down to such a lower state, dear devotees, because of this uncontrolled mind and uncontrolled senses. So it's always looking for it. And mind is the one who is ahead of, right? The sixth sense, mind is known as the sixth sense. And that mind is actually always giving this direction to the senses, go here, go and get it. And otherwise what happens, mind create kind of an illusion that I'm in distress. These are all we are creating, and we are developing each and every day, dear devotees, in this life. And this we can see that. And when we practice, as Krishna says that, right, Arjuna was mentioning this to Krishna, that, oh Lord, that I can control the wind, but I cannot control the mind. But Krishna was saying that asamshaya mahabaho, there is no doubt, that is, it cannot be controlled, but by the practice. It says that abhyasa yoga iktena vairagya jana briyade. Abhyasa, by the practice, that we can slowly control this mind. And vairagya means detachment. So this is what is exactly Srila Prabhupada says here. Detachment means neglect the instructions of the mind. So mind is always telling to do that, do this, and go there. Why? Because of the senses are very eagerly waiting that how I can please. So the mind is giving the instruction to the senses, each of our senses, go there and get this one. Okay, let me see. As soon as you see something, some palatable food somewhere here, we forget everything. That mind has a nature, and mind says, okay, forget it, I'm going to go and eat it. And we have this four regulative principles. No intoxications, coffee, tea, no onion, no garlic, all these things. Why it is mentioned that? So that when there is an instruction, that's what is exactly here, the instructions of Guru and instructions of Krishna. When we follow the instructions of Guru, then we can control our mind. Otherwise, it's very difficult to control the mind. So it's very important that we control ourselves. So if we feed these bad qualities every day, if we feed our bad qualities every day, then what happens? It becomes uncontrolled. So our aim, our goal is to control our mind, dear devotees. Unless and until we control our mind, we cannot move an inch in our devotional service, devotional path. Because of slowly, like what happens when there is a flood, slowly the water comes over and completely covered with the flood, exactly like that is material energy. Then it comes and completely covered with our mind, and then we will be out of control. We cannot even control. We'll be completely addicted by it, and we cannot even control anymore. We don't have any control anymore. This soul, the power, the potency of the soul is so dormant like that, and we cannot control anymore. And that's what is we are going through in this world. We are completely covered by this material energy, completely covered by this material energy, and we cannot come out, and we are suffering. And that's why, because of that, we are getting birth, death, and old age and diseases, janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi. Because of the material energy, we are completely covered by this material energy, and material energy has these qualities. Mrityu is the one of the quality of this material energy to change the change. Always there is a change for this external energy. It's keep changing, and that's the nature of this material energy. But when we come to that, our spiritual platform, or spirit and spiritual platform, it is permanent. It is not subject for change. It is subject. It's always eternal, and that's our original constitutional position. So if we feed our bad qualities, whatever we have, then what will happen? It will completely devour us, and then that dog, that bad qualities will be dominant, and that will become prominent and dominant and start to take the control over us, and we are doomed. And this is what is exactly mentioned here, and it will become victorious, and that will conquer us. The mind will conquer us, and sometimes we cannot even distinguish that what we are taking. Sometimes some decisions we have to take. So what happens? We're completely confused and kind of perplexed in such a way that we don't know what to do and how to do, because of mind is saying in this way, and then intelligence even not even come to the picture. All is actually in our mind is various thoughts. He did that way, he did this way, he did this way, he did this way. How should I take this one? It's all kind of the intelligent even come into the place, really. So when mind is become victorious, it's very on the settled platform, very sushma, very settled platform. In that platform, we cannot even come to our real consciousness, dear devotees, what is right and what is wrong. That means intelligence, the nature of the intelligence is actually that discriminating power, that what is right and what is wrong. And we are dooming in this world. So that's what is, we can see that so many majorities of the people, they're completely under this illusion, and where the mind, the Maya attacks the first in the mind. So completely take the control of the mind, then that's where the Maya is taking the control of entire person, that the life. And he was, going through various turbulences of the material turbulences of this in this world. So it is very strong. It is very strong that, if one is completely under this, it is very strong. That Krishna says that, right? Is my energy. It's very strong and it cannot be overcome. Only by Mam evaye tarandide, Mayam evam tarandide, Mam evam prabadhyande, Mayam evam tarandide. One who takes shelter of me, that one can overcome this. This is what is exactly King Raghuguna was telling to, Jadabharata was telling to, King Raghuguna. And then it is mentioned that, and Sukadeva Goswami explaining this also, Jadabharata explaining this to the King Raghuguna. It says that, O king, please try to conquer this mind by the weapons of service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do it with great care. So exactly that Jadabharata, he was exemplified with his behavior and the nature, that how one can progress into the devotional service of the spiritual path. Otherwise, if we don't follow these instructions then we will be also doomed in this material world. So here it is mentioned that, O king, please try to conquer the mind by the weapons of service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do it with great care. Do it with great care. This is the formula, dear devotees. It's as it says that service to the Guru, service to the spiritual master, and service to the Supreme Lord. When we serve the when we serve the spiritual master, when we serve our Guru, and when we serve the devotees, and we get the mercy of that devotee, and we get the empowerment of, so that we can carry out. So always remember that, always there are so much of strength and potency, the words of a devotee and the words of a Guru, because of they are completely dedicated to the Supreme Lord, and they have the full mercy of the Supreme Lord. And in the previous chapter it is mentioned that devotees are very dear or dear friend of the Supreme Lord. They are very closer to the Supreme Lord. So when a devotee or a Guru instructs something, it is our duty that to follow, and then only good benefit. And if we just simply follow the instructions of Guru, that's actually ultimately the one's eternal duty, to follow the instructions of a Guru, because of it is full of potency. And as it says that Asya Prasade Bhagavat Prasado Asya Prasada Nagati Gudopi, it says that the Guru is not pleased, Krishna is not pleased. So it's very important that, dear devotees, sometimes people think that, okay, I don't need anybody, I don't need to follow anybody's instructions, I don't need to follow what devotee says or consider, I don't need to serve anybody in this world, all I need to do is to serve Krishna. There is no way that Krishna will be pleased to such attitude. When Krishna is pleased, when the devotees are pleased, when we serve the devotees, and the greatest gift, because they are the Sevaka Bhagavan, right? The Guru is considered as a Sevaka Bhagavan. And so that when we serve the Guru, he is a Sevaka Bhagavan, and that he is a representative of the God and representative of the Supreme Lord. When we serve the Guru and the devotees, and he is a Sevaka Bhagavan, and Lord is considered as if we are serving to the Supreme Lord. And Krishna is always mentioned that, and Srila Prabhupada many times mentioned this one. And that's what is all we need to do as a devotee platform, just to serve the Guru and the devotees. Naturally, we will be, by the mercy, Krishna will be so pleased such devotees, rather than one who is directly approaching Krishna. So it's very important that we understand this fact. And he says that do it with the great care. Do it with great care. And it's also Krishna says that. Tadvidi pranipadena pariprasnena seveya upadekshandi jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. And if one who wants to attain this transcendental knowledge, he should approach a bona fide Guru and serve that Guru submissively, and inquire submissively, and serve the Guru submissively. And this should be a quality of a devotee, dear devotees, that we should be always take that position of that devotional service. Is not that to a place for showing off, or that I'm a great devotee, I'm that, I'm this, everybody should respect me. It's not the platform of the devotion. If somebody is behaving like that, that doesn't mean that he does not know what is devotion. It is not even in the devotional platform, he's just showing off. She just kind of showing off that, I am such, and I am such that. Nobody should have that kind of attitude. The attitude of that service and that humble position that devotee takes, that pleases the Guru and Krishna, nothing else. And our service attitude, service to the Guru and Krishna and the devotees, is the greatest quality of a devotee. Unless and until we come to that platform and follow the instructions of Guru and Krishna, we cannot control our mind. Mind is so devouring, and it is actually completely captured by the external energy. Only way that we can come out of our mental entanglement clutches, only way that we take the shelter of Guru and Krishna, and by following the instructions of Guru completely and very strictly and with great care. So then what happened? This is the devotional platform. If anybody wants to progress in the devotion and understand the science of this Supreme Lord Krishna consciousness, understand the spirituality, only by serving Guru and Krishna with the humbleness, humility, and submissiveness. And we should be always this way, we can progress. Then only we can even chant the holy name purely. Otherwise, it's very difficult to chant if you are having this ego. If always having this selfish or sensual or self-centric activities, that always, even when we chant the holy name, it all comes to our mind, because we are putting ourselves in the center instead of the Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is, dear devotees, this very nicely explains what is Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not self-centric, but it is Krishna-centric. And what is Krishna-centric? Krishna, Krishna's devotees, Krishna's holy name, services to the devotees, and Guru, and taking the shelter of a Guru, follow the instructions of a Guru. This is all considered as Krishna consciousness, dear devotees. Otherwise, we are self-conscious all the time. And when we are completely under the self-conscious, that's where actually mind is completely covering us, completely taking the control of us, and then we won't make any progress into our devotional service, devotional path. So it's very important that you understand this, dear devotees, and understand this transcendental science. It's great to hear that the qualities of the Jada Bharat and the instructions of Jada Bharat to the King Raghuda, that is very great for us. That's what is very important for us to follow in our life. And this is the way we can make the progress in our devotional path. So always remember this. And as Srila Prabhupada says, that we have to control our mind. No matter what, we have to, unless we are control our mind, we cannot do anything. We cannot even make any service even to anyone, because of our mind is always attached to these material sensual things, like markada vairagya, right? Some people goes to the forest and they just always thinking about the material things, but what is the purpose of it? It's called markada vairagya, monkey renunciation. He's a vegetarian, but what is the purpose? All the naughty things monkey does. What is the use of it? So exactly like that, this is for us, our own benefit. As it says that, this human birth is very rare, and who knows that when we are going to get a human life, and once we miss this board, once we miss this human platform, when are we going? We never know. But it's our duty, by controlling the mind and the senses. And how we can control the mind and the senses? Offer the service to the Guru and the devotees and the Supreme Lord. By the mercy of the Guru, we get the mercy of Krishna, and by the mercy of Krishna, we get the mercy of devotees. And this is vice versa. This is interdependent. The mercy of devotees and Guru, and we get the mercy of Krishna, and by the mercy of Krishna we get the mercy of Guru and the devotees. And it's very important to make our progress into the spiritual life, and this is the way we make the progress. So, dear devotees, this is so important for us, and so to control our mind in all respect. Don't don't what is called lose, or don't just give out whatever it comes to our mind is that what is right for things. All says that always don't listen to your mind, but listen to your heart. Don't listen to your mind, but listen to your heart, because of the soul resides in our heart. So mind is a settle, but soul is the spirit. Soul is the complete. So always, then only it says that Srila Prabhupada says that in the purport, that then unless and until we control the mind, we cannot reach to the soul. We cannot reach to the soul. So it's very important important lessons for us, that to practice. We are all practitioners practicing Krishna consciousness. It's very important that even though we take initiation, we started our journey, but it's very difficult to control the mind. So with these instructions, that how we can control the mind, always ready to serve the service to the devotees and the Guru and Krishna, and always, if take shelter of Guru and devotees, take shelter of wherever there is an opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam or devotional service, and always remember that this is by the will of the providence that is all arranging. It's not that because of our anything that which is our greatness, that's all we are getting, but all is actually happening because of the will of the providence, will of the Lord, because we are so fortunate, and by the mercy of the Lord we having an opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, or association of the devotees, and service to the devotees, service to the Lord, and this is all the arrangements of the Lord. And as mentioned, that by the service to the devotees and the Lord, will get the mercy of the Lord, and by the mercy of the Lord that we get the service, we get the mercy of the devotees. So it's very important that we take this seriously, and practice that with service attitude, with the humility and humbleness, and by controlling our all unwanted disease and unwanted activities. So there are beautiful verses in the Nectar of Instructions. That is, the first 3 verses is so important, and the 8 ways that one can lose the devotion, and 8 ways that one can, one can actually acquire the mercy of Krishna. And it says that ulsahas, nichayas, dhairya, tattat karma pravartanas, sangatyaga, sadovurti, sadbhir bhakti prasityade. Ulsaha, determination. Nishchaya, Ulsaha, enthusiasm, determination. Nishchaya, dhairyas, and Tattat Karma Pravartana, and serves the Supreme, serve the devotees and the Guru, and Tattat Karma Pravartana. Sangatyaga, that means unwanted. Don't, like a Jadabharata in this case, that try to control his mind and unwanted association. And this is the moment that when we have this unwanted association, that's the moment that Maya is capturing us. Unwanted association. So Sangatyaga, Sadovritti, always follow the instructions. Sat means that supreme, that very qualified, and Sat means that eternal processes. The Sanadhana Dharma, Sadovritti. And as it says that Shadbhir Bhakti Prasiddhyadi, in this way we can attain the Supreme Lord. So it's very important, and I thought of putting this small presentation here like this. So thank you so much for joining today. It's 8:57. I would humbly request, please share your realizations and the comments. Anybody has anything to add, any questions or concerns, comments? So we'll spend some time for that. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. It's very quiet. Is there anything to add?
Hare Krishna,
Realizations?
accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Prabhupada. It was an excellent class. Excellent. The question I have is that, at least in my case, philosophy, essence, everything we can understand, like say no to the mind, say no to the mind. But when that opportunity actually comes up, that desire is so overwhelming that, the no becomes just a small little voice. And then you indulge in that sense gratification, whatever it is. So how to say a strong no or a loud no to the mind?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. I mean, everybody agrees the same. It's very difficult to overcome that. So yes, I mean, as Srila Prabhupada says that neglect. That's what it is. Anything that which comes to the senses, comes to sense gratification, right? Anything that which comes to in our life, that sense gratification, many times that's where actually we are failing. That something comes in our front of our eyes, we forget. Some palatable food we forget, some words which we forget, all these things we completely forget because of when this overpowers, this Maya overpowers us because of the force, it's very, what is called, the current, it's very strong, very powerful, very powerful. So yes, that's a time we should remember this. Remember this, it is leading us to the hell. And remember that anything that which we indulge for our sense gratification, which leading us to the hell. And think about that, do we need to go to the hell again for millions of sufferings and things like so? Always remember that. Always remember that anything that which we which we takes for our sense gratification apart from Krishna, so then what happens, it is leading to hell or leading to our death. That's why it is known as this Martyalog. Martyalog means because we are subject to death by the forces of mind and the senses. And so always remember that. So this anything which we takes that, then it leads to our death rather than our birth. This leads to our death. So it's very poison. Remember that. It's as if like how we take a poison. If we take a poison, if we drink a poison, definitely it's going to kill us. So that's why. So when we remember all this, and not to that our mind and the senses, and then think about that whenever it comes, it's a poison. So we are going to drink a poison and thinks that do I need to drink a poison to kill myself? So remember that it's a poison. So always that, like, as a quality of Jadabhar, then always conscious and with great care. So as it says that, Krishna says that Padam Padam Vibari Padam, this world is full of danger. As if like, it says that as if like we are walking on a edge of a razor. We can bleed, we can completely bleed. So it's full of danger, first of all, and even without any care that we get can bleed us. It's a poison, it can kill us. Is all that's what it is actually, the real spiritual platform that free from all these things. The moment, it's moment we are actually careless. That's what is exactly. The moment we are careless, then what happens? Maya attacks us and takes us away from Krishna. So we should be very careful. So always remember this. We should be very careful in Krishna consciousness, every step. And we should be always think that anything that which comes for our satisfaction, sense gratification, it's a poison. So that's we are going to drink the poison. So when we remember this, when we remember always, that's why Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Bhakti, Vinod Thakur mentioned that as well, right? We should beat our mind. We should check our mind every day, twice in a day. Not twice every moment, but generally speaking, it's the morning that we should beat our mind with the chapel, right? And at the night, we should beat our mind with the broom. Both are so abominable that, one who beats somebody with the chapel means is so low. That's what is our position of a mind. It's actually awarded for to beat with the chapel and the broom, because of mind is so naughty, so much. So, and the other thing to understand that this is all material. Anything that which is mind and the senses is completely material, nothing to do with anything spiritual. But also at the same time, we can transform this mind and the senses to the service of Krishna. That's why service utilizes mind, our senses, our body, both gross and subtle body. When we utilize, and anything which comes that sense gratification, remember that, then we are away from Krishna. This is what is caused from separation from Krishna. But the moment we realize that, utilize our mind, senses, and the body for the service of Krishna, then we are saved. As Krishna says that Mahatmanam Stumam Bharta Devim Prakriti Masradaha, the devotees are under my protection. So we should always remember this. So when we take shelter of Krishna and pray, and the another thing is actually we should every day sincerely pray to Krishna that please protect me, please protect me. That's our pray. And Mother Draupadi chanted this one actually. Is very very powerful, that pray. That is actually it says that the Pundari, is Dwaraka Nila Achida Govinda Pundari Kaksha Rakshamam Sharanagadi, right? So this should be our prayer, that every moment, Dakshamam, please protect me. I am taking your shelter from off to make me free from all these calamities. This is the greatest calamities. Any sensual thought is the greatest calamity. Any kinds of thoughts of our mind for the sensual pleasure is the greatest calamity for the practitioners of the devotee, because of it takes us away, because the Maya is coming. So always remember this, that you know anything that which comes to the sensual and mental pleasure is actually we are taking a poison that we are going to kill us. So if we remember that, then somehow we can have, and also prayers every day, that we every moment we pray to the Supreme that please, Dakshamam Sharanagadi, I am taking your shelter, please protect me. Dakshamam Sharanagadi. So if we have that, then somehow we can, yes, we are all practitioners, very difficult to overcome, but as Krishna says that only by the practice we can come out of it. So practice is the key, and remembrance of Krishna is the key, and remembrance of the distractions of Maya in this world, that's the key. So with this, we can, come out of it, and we can gradually come out of it. And that's the way, that's the purpose, and that's the life that means for us, or that's what is we are really do as a human form, and come out of all this.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you for such a wonderful realization and the question. That's very important that we all check and how we can make progress in our spiritual path. Hare Krishna. Anybody else? Anybody would like to add anything? Any realizations? Okay, so we'll stop here then. It's 9:07, and if there is nothing else, thank you so much for joining today. It's very, very important, dear devotees, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam every day. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. We have sections in the morning, every day morning, 6:30 to 7. There is a Bhagavatam class. And evening, we have a Bhagavad Gita class, 7 to 8 p.m. So please, so this way, we can slowly come out of our abyss of all these material needs. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So anybody else? Madhuri Prabhu, are you there? Or any other announcements?
Hare Bol, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for this nice class.
So much.
Yep. Yeah. Tomorrow is Ekadasi. Minimally fasting from grains and beans and increasing our Krishna consciousness. The Pana time on Tuesday is, hold on for one moment.
8:45 to 10:56.
What is that?
8:45 to 10:56.
8:45. Wow. Okay.
Sorry. 6:45. Yeah, 6:45 to 10:56.
6:45, right?
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Okay. Yep. We'll be having a Sunday program tonight. So please participate. That's a very nice way to connect, especially to many newcomers, and share Krishna consciousness with them. The program will start at 5:30 p.m. in the evening. On that note, we also have Govindas today as well as tomorrow, serving Ekadasi food tomorrow from 3 to 8. So we can avail that. That being said, we were very fortunate to have His Holiness Jai Pataka Maharaj amidst us yesterday, enlivening us and sharing Krishna consciousness with us in such a nice, clear way. So let's take this wonderful opportunity of Sadhu Sangha as much as we can. Laya Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Laya, even a small fraction of a second, we get association of a pure devotee that can transform our life. Yeah. Thank you very much for taking this opportunity yesterday. Okay, that being said, we'll end here by offering prayers to the Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpataru pavane vayo Vaishnavinda ki jai.
Thank you, Simheshwar Prabhu. Hari Bol. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.